Are you unmuted? Yeah, there we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. You guys hear me okay? Okay. Sure, working?
Testing, testing. I think we're good.
All right. All right. Well, welcome. Hopefully today's forum has been helpful so far. Today, Renee and I are going to be going over how to create a stellar marketing calendar. So I'm Scott Lemke. I'm part of the digital marketing team here at AE. I've been with the company for a little over 2.5 years. I actually came from one of our clients, so I've been working with Americaneagle for close to 8 years now. I've been in marketing and graphic design since my freshman year of high school, which I realized about an hour ago is a little over 20 years, which makes me feel really, really old. But I've gone through a lot of situations, a lot of scenarios, been with companies that kind of winged their marketing, and I've been at companies where we had a really structured plan, and there's a big difference between the two. So here to kind of give some tips and some overviews on how to make a good one.
And I'm Renee. You probably see me lingering around this room all day. I'm our Director of Marketing Operations here at American Eagle, so I oversee our internal marketing team here.
All right, today's agenda. What is a marketing calendar? The steps to create an impactful calendar, and find out some ways how we can help you do all this stuff as well. So how many people here are already using a marketing calendar of some sort? Okay, excellent. Hopefully you'll get some tips that you'll learn today to help kind of streamline your process, kind of make things a little bit easier. Who's not using a marketing calendar? Who's kind of winging it? All right. Well, our goal today is to get you guys to not do that. Get you a little more structure. Okay, so what is a marketing calendar?
Yep, so to fill you in on what a marketing calendar is, not that most of you don't know what it is, but to give a little more definition behind that, click to the next slide. It acts as a guidebook that covers your marketing activities throughout the year, right? So this gives you a better idea of what's going on, when, and where, and things like that. It also serves as your blueprint for messaging. So you have your campaigns, your themes, your topics that you want to get out there in front of consumers throughout the year. So this sort of acts as your blueprint of when you're saying what and when. And then at the end of the day, it also saves you time and drives better results for your company. So the point of a marketing calendar isn't just to keep you organized and to prioritize and categorize. It gives you the ability to measure results at the end of the day and optimize your marketing calendar throughout the year. So just a real quick example, and we'll get into this a little more later, but say you have an event scheduled like we do here at the forum in October. If we're doing another one later this year, we're here to measure results and everything like that tomorrow so that we can better optimize for our event 3 months from now. So you guys should always be thinking about, as you're scheduling these events on your marketing calendar, these items, whether it's an event like today or a blog post or a social post or whatever that is, your marketing calendar should also serve as a place for you to record results and things like that to look back on a month, a quarter, a year from now.
Right, so steps to create your marketing calendar. First step is to outline your strategy. You want to identify your what, your when, your who, your which, and your how. If you don't have that going in, that's really the foundational behind having a good marketing strategy is actually having that strategy. So first is the what. Basically covers which channels are you using to get to your audience, your customers, your users, email marketing, text messages, social media, offline TV and radio, what kind of promotions are you putting on your website? Everybody here should have a website. If not, I know a guy. Content blogs, news articles, trade shows and events. Are you hosting trade shows? Are you speaking at trade shows? Are you managing trade shows? And obviously, these can vary by industry, by business, whether you're B2B or you're B2C. The when or how frequent you promote. I usually refer to this as cadence. What type of marketing cadence are you going to have? How many touch points are you going to have to those different users? Are you going to have daily Facebook posts, weekly email newsletters, monthly blog posts or content on your website, direct mail, postcards, catalogs, quarterly print ads in magazines or trade show magazines or newsletters, radio advertisements, TV advertisements. Then from a yearly standpoint, your trade shows that you're going to or presenting at, those are usually blocked out quite a few months in advance.
quick tip. So we're going to be doing these quick tips throughout the presentation. So just give you a little insight here and there on certain topics that we're covering. Our first quick tip is, so when you're building out your calendar, the point that you want to make sure that you're driving home within your internal marketing team is that you're not over communicating, right? So you want to make sure you're sending out your emails as many times as you should. So think as an end consumer of another brand, like, okay, I'm a fan of Pottery Barn. I don't want to be getting 5 emails from Pottery Barn every day. So put yourself in your consumer's shoes and think, okay, when would I want to receive that email? How many times a week or a month or a quarter would I want to see that email? So just kind of put yourself in that, your end user's shoes, and it kind of work from that angle. Another thing too is another example, social. So if you notice, like maybe you don't have a lot of huge following on social, it's not your strongest channel, don't spend all your time and effort putting it into social right now if you know it's not working at the minute. So you're higher prioritize the ones that have the bigger ROI. That would be a quick little tip for you from our side.
All right, identify the who. Who is your audience that you're going after? Here at AE, we talk a lot about user personas and user journeys. So a lot of all this information kind of gets put together based on identifying who those users are. So what are their demographics? Their age, their occupation, their career. What are their habits? Where are they located if you're geographical targeting on certain users? What are their interests? What are their problems or needs? How can what types of services or products do you offer that helps those problems or needs? Are they new users or existing users? A lot of our clients, we break down their marketing strategies by retaining their current customers or gaining those new ones. And which channels you use to reach out to them. Just like Renee was saying, if you're a B2B company, maybe Facebook, maybe Instagram, not the best channel. LinkedIn might be the better option. So identifying those different channels based on those personas. And then the which resources do you have or which ones do you need? Do you have the staff in place for this yearly plan? Do you need to bring in a new graphic designer? Do you need to bring in video people? Do you have the platforms in place? Email marketing platforms, CRM, CMS. What do you need to have in place to get these goals accomplished? Time and budget. I mean, everybody needs more of those. And then creative assets. What photos do you need? What videos do you need? What content needs to be written? Do you already have existing information that you can modify to adapt into your needs for next year? And then how will you track success? We usually talk about doing a measurement strategy, kind of having some sort of a plan in place to figure out how to identify if these marketing campaigns actually worked. So for like an email, for example, are you monitoring opens and clicks, shares and likes for social posting? From a website standpoint, form submissions or phone calls, do you have all that tracking set up within Google Analytics? Or do you have all that set up already in your MailChimp or your dot mailers, for example? And new customers, new orders, how are you tracking that as well? You need to make sure that you've got all those steps in place. So creating your calendar. So now that you've got your strategy in place, now it's time to actually build it. So what's the best way to make my calendar? That's a pretty open question. It kind of varies on what you need and what your staff needs. If it's just you as an individual person, maybe an Excel document might work out perfect. If it's you and somebody else, maybe you've got a shared network drive that you can kind of both be looking at that Excel document. Or Google Doc, if you're sharing that with multiple people, you can have multiple people in there at one time making those edits. Then you can go kind of further out from that, a little bit more advanced systems with these third-party options. Asana, Smartsheet, CoSchedule, just to name a couple. Here we've got the ability to set reminders or to set notifications when modifications have been made to the marketing calendar. So if you've got 10 people in there working on it at one time, you can get a notification that, hey, someone made a change to one of these. You can also assign tasks, and that'll trigger out emails. There's a whole bunch of, we're not here to sell the third-party systems by any means, but there's a lot of other options out there.
Quick tip time. So raise a hand, who schedules their marketing calendar out a year in advance? How about quarterly? Monthly? Okay, all good answers because at least you're doing a marketing calendar, so you're set there. But our advice would be to start yearly. So Whether it's now, whether it's December, and you plan for 2019. Start at a yearly level, and we'll go into more detail later, but those can be just, super, super high level, doesn't need to explain topics or themes or, super exact, like exact dates or times. Just know, like, hey, I know I want to do 2 blog posts a week. I want to do a social post every day. Get those high-level items, those always-on items on the calendar from the beginning, and then go work from there. So then check your calendar quarterly, check your calendar monthly. And as you're starting to get granular, get more detailed, and assign all of your tasks to the people on your team and things like that. So at a yearly level, you don't need to be concerned exactly with who's doing what and when. Just know that you want to do it. And then as you're getting more narrowed down into that monthly view, then that's when you start deciding, okay, who's going to do it? Do I have everything that I need? Assign tasks out and things like that.
So exactly what Renee was saying, we talked about starting off at a yearly standpoint. Here you can plan out your special events, your trade shows that you've got in April and May and June. Special events, customer forums, for example, make sure that all those are set up on your calendar already. If you're planning around holidays, if you've got Black Friday stuff going on, or if you've got a Easter promotion, make sure all this stuff is lined up so you're not just kind of, you're 2 weeks away from Black Friday and have no plan in place yet. Product launches for companies that are providing products, or new service introductions. From a product development standpoint, for some of the companies, they know when certain products are coming out, maybe Q2, Q3. Make sure that you've got all those marketing avenues already set up and kind of have some sort of an idea of what you want to do. Like what Renee was talking about, these always-on items, the things that you do every single month. The blog posts, social posts, email marketing, photography, video assets that need to be created or modified, case studies, the list goes on and on. So my role here at American Eagle, I work with a lot of our digital marketing retainer clients, and I personally use Smartsheet quite a bit. Our whole team uses that quite a bit. It's a fantastic program. It is a paid service, but there's a lot of flexibility with it. So a lot of these screenshots are taken directly from Smartsheet. So here's a few months worth of campaign. This is just kind of the templated shell for each month. So we know we've got email marketing, social content, trade shows and events, and offline. Basically building out that whole year with this kind of generic information, then you populate it as the year goes through. Start talking about quarterly. This is when you get a little bit more specific as far as what your campaigns are going to be, your topics for your blog posts. This example here, we've got a product launch in November. Do we have those supporting email campaigns figured out? What's the wording? Do we have our addresses situated? Do we know who we're sending these to? What's the messaging behind them? Figure out the theme for an event that's happening in December. So here you can see that we've got, in October, we've got our 4 emails planned for the month. So we've got a Halloween promotion reminder, trade show announcement, and new product announcement. This sheet also shows the social side kind of opened up, that section opened up. And we break it into weeks, so we make sure that we're not missing any of those social posts each week. So this example we've got for this month, we've got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and within those collapsed rows, we've got 2 or 3 posts per week. Then you get into the monthly side. This is where you really start hammering away with a lot of the specific information. Here you can enter in your tasks, make sure that your people that need to be making these images for you for email marketing and social, make sure that they're assigned to all these things. Figure out what resources you need. Gather your assets, content creative, that's photography, could be text, and then actually execute. So here we've actually got some descriptions and some titles filled in now. So for the Halloween promotion, 20% off, we've got our dates situated in here. We've got a due date assigned, and we've got an assigned to person. What's also really nice with the way we set up our smart sheets is we always have a staging section in there as well. So for, like you can see in the example, so we've got scheduled for review, in progress, not started. I can jump in here on a daily basis and see exactly where everything is at. When I've got a handful of clients doing different things each month, each week, and then I need to be able to make sure that I can jump in here really quick and see where the status is for all of these things. We also like to color code. You can see the little stoplight there on the end. I've got a very busy month for October. I didn't fill my name in the rest of these ones.
And to Scott's point, again, with the whole color coding, so I can't stress enough the importance of color coding if you're not doing it already. It helps greatly in terms of organization, and you can do it depending on how you want to keep yourself organized. There is no right or wrong way. But sometimes purple means email marketing, pink means social, green means blog posts, so do it by channel. Or you can also use color coding in terms of what Scott was mentioning in terms of stages. So maybe it hasn't been started yet, so it's in red. Or it's on hold, so it's another shade of red. Or if it's ongoing, it's green, things like that. So depending on what your internal team is like and how you guys like to keep yourself structured, I would recommend using a color coding system and determining what works best for you, whether it's color coding by channel or by stage and things like that. And we'll show you an example of that coming up in a few slides from here.
What's nice about a lot of these marketing calendar platforms or even an Excel document, you can view them no matter how your brain wants to see that information, whether it's a list view, a calendar view, or a Gantt chart. I'm a very visual person as a graphic designer, but I really love the list view because I can actually see all those details. But it's also nice to be able to jump back, look at the whole calendar. I can quickly see, hey, we've got 12 emails going out this month. We want to make sure that we don't have 3 going out one week and only 1 going out one. Or we have the first week of the month completely loaded full of emails, but then we're sitting back and doing nothing for the rest of the month. So the list view and Smartsheet we've kind of already covered a little bit. I always break them out by channel. What's nice here is you can collapse those rows as needed. Assign those tasks and those due dates. I've also worked at a previous company where we had an Excel document that was conditionally formatted really well, where if a due date was within a week of today's date, that whole row becomes yellow, so it jumps out at you right away. And then once you go past that due date, that whole row turns red and it all turns bold, so you know right away, hey, this is late, I gotta make sure this is going out, or make sure what the roadblock is for getting this email message sent out, for example. And then the status bar, we already talked a little bit about that. Quickly being able to go through and kind of figuring out what needs to happen this week, where we're at with every single line item in here. The best feeling of the month is going in here like the last couple of days of the month and seeing everything is green. It's awesome.
Then the calendar view. So this right here that you're looking right now, this is an example of what the calendar view looks like in Asana, that one program that we mentioned before. So this is American Eagle's marketing calendar for the month of October. So this gives you a good example of how color coding comes in handy. When you've got a lot on your calendar, you don't know what's what, you can kind of see, okay, we've got a lot of events going on here in that turquoise color. We got social posts scheduled every single day, things like that. So can you click through? Yeah. So you can see yellow, that's content that we're producing. Pink, that's email marketing. Turquoise, events and trade shows that we have going on. Social posts in that lime green. And then blog posts in purple. So this kind of gives you guys an example of how you can use that color coding system like we mentioned before to keep yourself organized. And if you're a visual person like I am, this is what I like to look at out of all 3 of these views. So just a little insight there. And then you have this Gantt chart timeline view. So this is not my favorite, but I know some people like to look at it this way. You can kind of see the duration and how certain tasks depend on others, and you can see the steps in order that you need to achieve week by week to get the whole project done as a whole. So if you're a big timeline fan or like to see how things lay out in pieces, this is the view for you. It's not entirely as visual and colory as the calendar is, but everyone's different. So if you like to see the duration and how things are progressing throughout the weeks or the months, this timeline view is also available in most of these programs.
So most importantly, stay organized. Make your plan and stick to it. Make sure that things aren't dropping off. If they do get dropped off, can you move them into next month, or do they need to be completely removed? Really building that plan, sticking to it, have accountability, make sure your staff is held accountable as well. Make sure you're hitting your due dates. Make sure you're communicating at the proper cadence to your customers. So the last part is learning from your results, which is way easier said than done. But it's not just for planning future marketing actions. It's a great way to record what you've done in the past. Make strategic notes on what strategies, what campaigns worked, which ones didn't work, and what were those factors. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. What were those factors that made them succeed or make them bomb. We do a lot of monthly reporting here, and I go back constantly in monthly reports to what we did last year when we're planning out for different campaigns. Was there an email that worked really well? Was there a postcard that worked really well? How did we track that effectiveness, and what do we need to change going forward?
And last quick tip of the day, to what Scott was just saying, obviously just get your measurement strategy in place. We can't stress that enough. You want to do that in the beginning as much as you can, and not wait till after the marketing activity is over. So make sure you have that strategy in place so that as soon as the marketing activity is over with, you're able to track results and see if it's worth doing it again, or maybe you need to switch something up for the next time. But if we stress one thing today besides being organized, it's make sure that you have your measurement strategy in place so you can actually see what works and you're not just guessing.
And don't do marketing just for the sake of marketing. So analyzing those results. So what worked? Why were those campaigns successful? Look at modifications or improvements that you need to have for next month or next quarter or next year. Did it bomb? Why did it bomb? Was it the wrong channel? Did we send out the postcard too late? Were the social posts on the wrong channel, or had the wrong messaging? Again, gaining those insights, making those changes for next month, next time we kind of recycle these campaigns through kind of what worked, what didn't work. And the key to your marketing calendar is to create one that works for you and your team. Always be flexible with it, and don't be afraid to customize it for your needs. Sticking to the marketing calendar is one thing, but then when you've got the time and marketing email campaigns pop up out of nowhere. Hey, there's a world event going on next week. We should really talk about National Coffee Day, for example. I mean, that should already have been on their marketing calendar. But being able to drop in these other campaigns on the fly is great when you already have the structure. You're not winging, you're not winging everything.
And depending on your industry too, obviously everyone's marketing calendar is going to be different. And the channels that you're using are going to be different, like we've said a few times in the presentation today. But the key in what we're saying here and what Scott mentioned is just stay organized with the calendar. That's what its primary responsibility is, to make you stay organized and be able to be proactive instead of reactive all the time. So that's one thing here at American Eagle that we found super valuable with having a marketing calendar is our team are always able to predict what's coming next week, what's coming next month, what's coming next quarter, what's coming next year. So hopefully you guys feel the same way with your marketing calendars, and if not, hopefully we helped you, guide you in that direction to stay organized in the future. So how can we help? So obviously we offer all these services here internally at American Eagle, so we can help you with creating your marketing calendar, making sure you're reaching those goals, getting those tasks done, and also outlining your strategy, and then obviously optimizing and checking your results thereafter as well. So for those few of you that aren't already doing marketing calendars, if you need help with that, obviously we're here. And those that are already working on them, we obviously can help with that too. So that's it. Questions? Yeah.
So is Asana your program of choice, and if so, why?
We haven't experimented with too many options, so I can't explain why, but I can tell you why I like it. I like it because all those views that you saw up there that we went through today, so the list view, the calendar view, the timeline Gantt chart view, you have all of those. You can set permissions, you can have as many people as you want depending on your plan. They do offer a free plan, but then obviously that only comes with certain features. So we do have the premium plan here, which allows you to do a little bit more advanced functionality and things like that. But we've just found it the easiest to stay organized. You can assign certain people, and you can assign certain templates depending on the type of activity. So if you're writing up a case study, for example, content needs to be written, graphics need to be written, it needs approvals, it needs client approvals, things like that. So every time you create that task, those subtasks come along with it. So you're not, spending your whole day writing all these subtasks and things like that. You already know that your messaging is going to your copywriter, your graphics person is going there, so it's automatically getting assigned. I haven't messed around with a whole lot of them, but we've been really happy with Asana so far, but I'm not promoting, I'm not their salesperson or anything. That's just kind of what we've found to work so far. But like Scott said, they use Smartsheet or Excel documents, so there is no right or wrong. It's just kind of whatever works for your team. think it also depends on how many people you have on your marketing team, the people that are involved as well. So that kind of depends too. So.
And how many users can you have logged in at one time, making
Right.
edits on a live document?
Yeah.
So.
Do you either have any strategies, or would you promote or recommend one of these third-party sites when you have to have more layers? Like, for example, we're a professional association, so we are at any given time promoting multiple, usually, webinars, small regional meetings, symposia, things like that, but each one is only really targeted to a certain percentage of our membership, so it gets a lot more
Complex.
Yeah. Is there, any strategies you would recommend, or a particular program where you can add in those, where you're trying to target certain groups so that not everybody's seeing?
Yeah.
Didn't touch anything.
Yeah. Do you want to talk from your end?
Sure. You can have it all in one giant calendar if you need to, or break that out into separate things. Yeah, you could have like just an email specific one. Sure.
I'm not sure you found one.
Sure. Previous experience I've had, I used to manage a lot of our trade shows. We do between 30 and 40 trade shows a year. So I had a separate document that just had all that stuff. So I knew when to order the carpeting, when to ship the products, make sure that there's a UPS label in the box to ship the products back. It was a massive document that was just geared towards the trade shows. It was called out within our main marketing calendar, just kind of as a, if we had new management coming in looking at things to, make sure that was noted in there. But we had that on like a completely separate document.
And then just to add to that, specifically to Asana, how we kind of do that, it's in a different way, but through Asana you can set up what you call projects, and under projects you have all your different channels, right? So projects could be trade shows, it could be email marketing, it could be social, depending on, it depends. Yeah, and then what you can do at the end of the day is group all of those and see the one master, and then you can set up different views like that depending. Yeah, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other? Oh, yep.
My question is similar to your question about multiple calendars or multiple views. Do you use any of these tools to schedule and organize marketing along with product announcements or internal activities? In other words, more functional areas than just marketing?
Yeah, you could modify them to however you need to use them. So you could have just an internal section within those months if you need to. So internal communications or announcements, that type of stuff.
Right, you've got a bunch of HR stuff, and then you've got product engineering things, and you've got product launch things that relate to marketing but aren't necessarily marketing activities or under the purview of marketing.
Yeah, the nice thing with all these systems is they're pretty much customizable to how you want to set things up. So it kind of, however you want to stay organized and, however your team functions and works, you can pretty much set it up the way that you want it. So depending on your workflow and things like that, you can kind of make it your own.
Yeah, most of these third-party solutions are project management type software.
Right.
So we're kind of modifying it to make that marketing calendar aspect of it.
It's helpful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to share with you, we just put in our personal go-ahead software, which is very similar to yours in Google.
Okay.
At first it was a little weird, I'm getting used to it, but we're at this point, we're cool.
Good, yeah, like we said, these aren't the ones that we're like, stick with these or not. There's a ton of systems out there, so don't just assume that these are the latest and greatest. These are just what ones that we found useful in working with clients and internally and things like that. So yeah, with anything, like you were saying, when you first start this marketing calendar, this experience that we had here too, you kind of have to get accustomed to it, right? You're not used to working like that in a certain way, but once everyone is on board and gets into the flow of things, it helps a ton, and makes you meet your deadlines and things like that. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, this might be outside the scope, and if it is, but I'm thinking about what we would calendar. Some of that is public information we'd want to be able to put on our website, for example. 90% of it is internal, right? Have you ever tried to do that, selectively pick items from this calendar and integrate it with a forward-facing website?
So I mean, the way our marketing calendar is set up is we have our website stuff set up separately than our internal communications, right? So our content is set up separately for our print or digital than our website. So does that answer your question? Okay, yeah. So like I said, it all goes back to how you want to organize it. You can organize it however way you want. So at American Eagle, that's how we do it. So yeah.
Thank you.
There's a lot of integrations that you might be able to find between some of these platforms and your site.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you'd ever done that and know that this works really easily.
Yeah.
Sure. I've got a client in the past has used a Google Calendar. They've got some that are for internal use only. Now, this is not necessarily marketing calendar specific. It's more event driven. They had calendars that were private events that were not on their forward-facing website, but then they were able to designate some of the calendars as being public events. So then it kind of synced up with their site.
Right.
Mhm.
So, anybody else? All right. Well, hopefully you guys found this helpful. And thank you. Let us know if you have any other questions.